The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And the show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and it's not really my pleasure this week, but I'm going to introduce our panel. First up, we've got the host of The Second is for Everyone, Diversity Shoot and Podcast, Second Amendment Advocate, co-host of the Gun and Gear Podcast, firearms trainer at Simon Says Train. His name is Tony Simon. What's up?
What's up, everybody? Tony Simon here, largest pound-for-pound firearms instructor in America.
Glad to have you here. Next up, we've got Zane Mangillo. He's a country singer, Florida Man of the Max firearms instructor at Contextual Defense, and co-host of the Gun and Gear Podcast. Zane, welcome back. I can't hear you again, Zane. I know you had something super witty. Tony, would you like to say what he probably said? Just pretend like you're him.
He dead.
He's dead.
I'm from Florida. I like sleeping with my cousin and my sister, but I don't date them. I just sleep with them.
There you go. That's what I was looking for right there. And finally, we have the owner of River's Edge Tactical Firearms Instructor and my co-host on We Like Shooting. His name is Jeremy Paz. Derek, welcome to the show.
I literally don't care.
Zane, you back? Cannot hear you, sir. The NSA has my back tonight, I think. Everything is falling apart for Zane and probably my life as well. So I do want to say welcome to our three Marines here. This is the Marine special. Ben is Zane, and that might be it. I don't know.
I think we got it now.
That's it.
It was just a loose connection, so we're good.
Okay, well, Tony did your intro, but I mean, it's probably not going to go the way you wanted. So maybe go ahead.
That's doubtful. No, I'm an amateur country singer. I post one video on Facebook, and somehow that got into All right.
Oh man, it's a no for me, dog. I scrolled right on past. I didn't even turn the sound on.
I wouldn't have. I don't blame you.
So, guys, it was just the Marine Corps' 244th birthday.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was rifle plus rifle.
Perfect. Congratulations on that, guys.
You're
old.
Thank you, I guess.
Yeah. Congratulations. Like I fucking did something.
Yeah, I didn't break it and end it while I was in it. So yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
It existed before you.
It's not an old stool.
Wow. Yeah, but your face is old stool.
Wow.
That's mean.
That's how tonight's going to go. Hey, our advertisers are the Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, and Second Call Defense. You can find out more about them at firearmsradio.tv/SCD, and they are self-defense insurance if you ever have to use your gun, whether it's concealed carry or, just one that you have at your house for safety. And you'll hear stories in the show about that all the time, and people's lives are severely affected when they have to use them. Diana Muller is put in the national spotlight for saying she won't comply with an assault weapons ban. We actually love Diana Muller, and she's been on We Like Shooting. She's awesome. 3-gun competitor, does a lot of stuff in the gun industry, but yeah, she was testifying and said, do I become a felon or do I comply? I will not comply, she said in front of a congressional panel on gun control. It was actually a pretty powerful moment, and she's been getting a lot of national news attention from that. Jeremy, I mean, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on her looking congressmen and women in the face and saying, I will not comply if you ban firearms or affect the Second Amendment or take away modern sporting rifles or whatever?
I wish she was more blunt.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I should say more crass. Not necessarily blunt, but like, y'all are a bunch of commies and you need to shove it up your ass.
Right. I mean, she probably could have, but she'd probably be getting, I guess, less attention maybe if she did that.
I mean, I just want to hear her call a bunch of politicians communists.
That would actually be pretty nice. Zane?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of people are, it's almost rhetoric these days. Oh, I'm not going to comply. Okay. Yeah, you will. You didn't even pick up the phone and call your senator, so you're probably going to comply. I don't know. It's cool, but whatever. It was interesting. I was listening to another podcast. It was not gun related the other day, and the guy was talking about how many guns are on America. He was like, "There's like over 300 million." He's like, "That scares me a little bit." And I was like, "Yeah, well, that's the point."
Oh, was he not counting all of your guns? He was just counting mine?
I guess. I don't know. I only have 2.
Yeah.
I would be like, why does that scare you?
Well, I'm kind of like, that's kind of the point. You should be scared because, should you decide that it's time to come get them, you should be scared.
300 million is a lot. Tony Simon, what do you think about Diana Muller?
Well, one, I love Di. She runs the DC project, and she goes and sees congressmen and senators all the time. And she's blunt with him. And I think her being retired law enforcement also helps give that some sting, as in no matter what you're saying, even as retired law enforcement, I am not going to comply. I love that she said it. I hope it gives DC project more traction. And I think it's awesome.
Elderly New York man shoots armed intruder in his home. So this is a man who is 76-year-old, or he is 76 years old, I should say. And he gets a knock after 9 p.m. He opens his front door. Guy standing there with the ski mask pushes him and forces his way inside. He asks them to move to the mudroom. The 76-year-old guy knows he has a shotgun in there, goes in there first, grabs a double barrel shotgun in the room, kind of hides it behind him. The guy comes into the room and reaches down. He just shot from the hip and the guy went down. He's in critical condition. And it was a legally owned firearm. The homeowner's not in trouble. Tony, thoughts on this whole thing?
The senior citizen is actually Jeremy's spirit animal.
I'm just saying you got to confirm before me.
Nice. Hey, look. Okay. Advice from a dude who's spent the last quarter of a century as a locksmith. You don't have to open your door to find out who's on the other side of it. Keep your door locked. But did the exact right thing. This was a threat to his life, and well, he stopped the threat with a double barrel.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Zane?
Just echo what Tony said. I got nothing to add.
Yeah.
Did the perp die?
He's in critical condition as of the time of the writing of the story, which was November 6th. And I actually did look for an update, and I wasn't able to find anything.
That's unfortunate.
Once the sensational homeowner shoots intruder goes away, they don't really report on it as far as I could tell on this story. I think it's a good thing, but yeah, don't open your dang door, man. I don't even open my door if it's people I know. I'm like, go away, text me.
Yeah. There is no reason to open your door, and one of the worst things ever is that chain lock bullcrap. That's a false sense of security if I ever saw one. Never depend on the chain lock to keep your door closed.
Well, having been getting into lockpicking, like it's all just a sham. You're a locksmith, Tony. You know this better than anyone. Like it is all any security that we have is an absolute it's theater.
Okay, this is what I've been telling people for 20 years. Security is a feeling. Security is a feeling. You can put things in to slow people down, but overall, security is a feeling. They can get in. If they can't use an axe, they can drive their car through your front door if they want you. It's just how secure do you feel? How many obstacles can you afford to put between you and the bad guys before they go away? 90 seconds is all they want to take to get into your house. And if it takes longer than that, they go to your neighbors. That's the end of my safety locksmithing brief for tonight's show.
Yep, totally agree. Next story, father of Parkland victim praises Secret Service for their recommendations to curb mass shootings. A new report by the Secret Service's National Threat Assessment Center said that active assailant attacks at schools are preventable. And the father of one of the students who was murdered in Parkland joined Cam Edwards on Cam & Co. For bearing arms, and basically said that there's several areas of the report that really stand out to him, starting with the fact that there are many active assailant attacks in schools in which a firearm isn't used. To focus on guns instead of the individuals responsible for the violence is to miss the point. Another thing that stands out to him is that many of the attackers were suffering from a very terrible home life, not only broken homes, but kids and family services bouncing around, horribly abused. Virtually all of them exhibited warning signs before they made the decision to try and murder as many innocent people as possible. Zane, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts here? And I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer.
Yeah. So I think we need to look into all these things. You know, they talk about everyone wants to say, oh, we need to this or we need to that. And it's like, okay, we should probably look into mental health. We should probably look into better locks on the school. We should probably look into metal detectors. But when all of that fails, we should probably look into people who can shoot the person.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think it's a this or that thing. And I think this is a step in the right direction, I guess. I hate that phrase because it gets used against us all the time. But yeah, no, this is all well and good. But at the end of the day, when all of that fails, someone has to shoot the bad guy in the face before he kills a bunch of people. So.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Jeremy, you know, a lot of these attacks, firearms aren't even used. Going after firearms is silly. A lot of these are over in less than a minute. A lot of these come from people who have terrible home lives or no home life at all. What are your thoughts, A, on the report, and A, on one of the fathers who lost his daughter in there to actually kind of stand on the side of common sense?
I mean, good on him for using logic and numbers and statistics and stuff. First off, that being said, this is what happens when you allow lazy and stupid to breed with lazy and stupid. Over time, you get an entire class of people that are just the laziest, the next generation, which is the laziest and stupidest people out there. And, you know, you can be dumb and a hard worker, and you can be lazy and smart and figure out a way to not be a piece of shit. But when you keep pieces of shit alive and allow them to breed, they just fuck it up for the rest of us.
Martin Luther King Jeremy, everybody.
You know what happens to lion cubs when the mom's a shitty hunter? They die. That's the way nature works.
Yeah, it's hilarious you say that, because I've often told people that stupid people are reproducing at a much higher rate than smart people because of
smart people figured out how to pull out.
Well, what I was going to say is because they wait until they're financially and emotionally stable before they have children. And I was going to say psychologically stable, but Jeremy has a kid, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
I did it on purpose.
I mean, listen, like literally the first few minutes of the movie Idiocracy are exactly what you guys just said. You know, you got the two people who are well-adjusted and well off, who are planning, and then they just never can. And then you got, I don't even remember his name, like
Cletus or something.
Yeah, Cletus having like 47 kids. Tony, what are your thoughts here?
One, the reason Jeremy has a kid is because she tricked him. She dressed up like a Boy Scout. Two, all of these things that are in that report are stuff that politicians and the media want you to not even bother reading or know about. They want to this whole thing is political football, and they try to shove these laws through, this legislation through, before common sense and facts have anything to do with it. While you're still in that emotional roller coaster, they want you to get rid of your civil rights. And this dude has stepped back, and they've waited for a report to come out, and it has actual recommendations in it to prevent this. And it's stuff all of us already knew. And yes, we have as a nation been bred to say somebody will take care of you, call 911. You don't need to save yourself. And that's all a lie. And every active shooter situation proves that. You are your own first responder.
Not only that, 911 might be a long ways away.
Exactly.
If you live in an area like I live, if you call 911, everybody's got to go. Like, you'll get a cop in 30, 40 minutes maybe. And
to be fair, do you see all the shit that goes on in Florida? I mean, yeah, those guys got to just be busy as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. This is assumption that somehow the guy that shows up is going to be a brave, competent cop and not a coward that waits outside for children to get slaughtered, or not that dude that, you know, has to get pencil passed every friggin' range trip because he can't hit the broadside of a barn. So, I mean, there's a lot of assumptions people make when they call 911. Save yourself.
Very true. Next story. I don't even know I'm reading it, but man, I found it interesting. Michigan man fights off home intruder with you guessed it, a battle axe. So this actually comes from Michigan. A man is alive and well after he used an axe to fend off a convicted criminal who broke into his apartment late Wednesday night. So this dude does like I don't even know what it's called. It's not cosplay, but like they dress up and hit each
LARPing.
other. LARPing, but yeah, it's the one where they're actually wearing armor and stuff. And anyway, he said the guy knocked on the door repeatedly. He didn't answer, and then the intruder kicked it in. He was playing video games and watching Rick and Morty, which I also think is awesome. I'm like, this dude is my spirit animal. So his direct quote is, "Door open, grab the axe, step, hit." The axe hit the intruder. There was a bloody mess everywhere. Suspect gave up, made a run for it. They followed the blood trail with canines to apprehend the suspect. I don't even know who to start off on this one. Jeremy?
Anyway, and the picture of him had a Jane hat on.
Yes. I'm like, this dude literally could be my best friend. Jeremy, I know you don't. Do you have a battle axe? I mean, this seems like kind of right up your alley here.
That would be awesome.
Kenny actually said, I'm sending Jeremy a bill for all the extra work.
What? I didn't say shit.
You actually have Kenny, I'm trying to keep timestamps, and instead of just like timestamp being where there's one cuss word, and then I'm putting like times, however many there were. So at 1210 times 4, at 1425 times 3, at 1620 times 2.
You just have to write the time when Jeremy starts talking. Just put that down, and then it'll be good.
I don't even know I'm doing it anymore.
No, we know, and that's why it's so funny.
Uh-huh. This is the greatest idea I ever had for a show.
I remember, was it Ryan and Chad had me on whatever he does, Handgun radio once.
Yeah.
Zane, thoughts on the battle axe?
Man, I got nothing. Like nothing.
It just makes me happy, Tony.
It makes me want to buy an axe.
I know.
Yeah. Well, there's something called Armored Combat Lead. I had a friend that used to do it, and he was way into it. Dude, I think it's an awesome story, but it really surprises me that my man was still fighting after getting hit in the chest with a battle axe. I'm like, I thought that would have been like a finishing move, dude.
Well, that guy didn't look like he had a lot of muscle behind it.
That's true too, because I saw the work he was doing and I was not impressed. But hey, listen, he took a battle axe to a human being. Freaking win.
Can you own a battle axe in Jersey?
As long as it's not double-sided.
Oh,
really?
I was totally kidding, but all right.
That's the line.
Well, it's we can't have daggers here. So, I have no idea what the battle axe is, but as long as it's not for defensive purposes. So you could just have a battle axe to have
offensive purposes?
No.
Oh. Right.
Well, I don't know. Actually, that's not written down. It's written down as defensive purposes.
Yeah. Craziness. All right. Next up, Khyber Pass region makes clear Glock-like pistols. So early 2019, I don't know if you guys remember seeing these earlier this year. The people were sending around, basically it looked like a Glock 19 that had a clear or translucent frame on it. And I remember this, and everyone was like, where is this from? And people thought that maybe Glock had done it as just a demo gun, or that Lone Wolf had done one. But people actually didn't really know. But apparently in May, a video by Khyber Armory made it clear that they were actually made in Pakistan in the Khyber Pass region. And they're kind of cool. Like clearly there's problems with polymer that is clear. Like it's the same reason the Magpul didn't make magazines clear, because it's sensitive to certain chemicals and UV rays and all kinds of other stuff. But I don't know. I kind of really do want a clear translucent Glock. Zane, what about you?
I do not. I don't know why anyone would want. I mean, I don't see a practical purpose for it. I guess it's just for the cool factor, maybe.
Yeah, it's a cool factor, and it's the same reason. Like I have a blue gun.
I guess it might be interesting for like training, so you can show the internal mechanisms and like how they work real time, like a cutaway gun or something. But aside from that, I don't have much use for this.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of want one, and not for any practical reason, all for stupid reasons. Tony, what about you?
Yet again, first it was High Point, now it's dudes in Khyber Pass showing more innovation than Glock did this year.
So good.
I think it's awesome because it really proves the uselessness of anti-gun laws or gun control because these guys can make a Glock out of obviously soda bottles, and you can't stop this. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. Anytime someone can do something like this without the government being involved, I like it.
Yeah, and not only so it looks they believe in the article that the frames are made in China or some other injection molding facility in Pakistan. The slides are CNC milled on site. They make them. They actually have stipple packages, serrations, and all kinds of stuff that they will do for you in the Khyber Pass, Pakistan. So
That's legit.
yeah, that's what's up. Jeremy walked away, so I'm not even going to ask his opinion, but I'm sure he just screamed profanity.
I don't care. I really don't care.
Nick's checks jump 10% in October year over year. It's actually a decent jump. So unadjusted figures are 2.3 million. And what adjusted means is basically that they remove gun permit checks. A lot of states do rechecks for their concealed carriers to make sure that they still pass a NICS check every single month. When you adjust it down, it's 1.1 million. So 1,105,335, which over 2018 in October, those adjusted figures were 1,005,062. So yeah, it's gone up quite a bit. There's some things we can extrapolate from this. And Tony, I'll start with you here. Do you think that we're seeing gun sales go up or people buying guns going up, or what do you think this means?
Well, I know I was one of the people that got a NICS check in October. I think it's a great thing. More guns means harder to take away the right. I think that's amazing. And I'm blown away by it because on the long term, when compared to data from 15 years ago, we're up 49%. So yeah, there are more gun owners or more people buying guns, which makes it a good thing. Awesome.
Yeah. Zane?
Yeah, so I like the fact that they're releasing adjusted numbers because that was always my thing with these numbers. I'm like, what does it mean? And even then, now we got a bunch of states that have universal background checks, so it's hard to truly extrapolate what it means. But I think overall, it looks like people are buying guns, which is weird because didn't Ruger's stock just go down or something?
So they're buying good guns.
Well, fair enough. The Ruger people are going to be so mad at you.
I'm just joking.
But yeah, so I think it's good. I think you're seeing a lot of people. Especially this time of year, you're seeing people buying their new hunting rifles and stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily out of the ordinary, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Jeremy, NICS checks in October 2019 were 10% more than they were in 2018. Have you seen this at River's Edge Tactical in Valley City, Ohio? Or has it been better, do you think? Do you see it trending upward?
Yeah, we actually did a lot. We did a lot last month, and we've been doing pretty good this month.
Sold a lot of high points?
No, I actually don't stock any high points.
But you'll order them, right?
What?
You'll order them for people, right?
Oh, wait a minute. What's because it went from no, never happened, I'll never sell a high point to
The only high points that I ever sold out of the case was one that an old man brought in. He's like, well, the guy at the store told me this was a good one.
What store?
Some other store. I'm like, well, you got lied to.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, you can't.
Yeah.
You have to be careful about what gun store you go into, man. Like my brother went into a gun store about a month ago and bought a hunting rifle, and the guy, it was a 6.5 Creedmoor, and he sent me a picture of the scope. He's like, "This is the scope the guy recommended." I'm like, the guy that works at the gun store recommended that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's a rimfire scope, so maybe don't listen to him. Yeah. So,
wow.
Just be careful.
My man was just trying to get rid of that last tap. Was it Tasco?
No, it was a Vortex. It was a
Okay.
Vortex, or I think it was a Vortex.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know which one you're talking
Fucking
about.
Simmons.
Diamond.
Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, no. So go to find a different employee. And yeah.
Hey, Ray Earl, I'll give you a bonus if you sell this rimfire scope. All right. Sorry, what is that? A 6.5 Creedmoor? Here's the scope for you, sir.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, I do like the Vortex Diamondback, but yeah, not on that.
I think that's what it was.
Probably.
Iron Man styled suit tests a visor controlled gun. This is kind of a joke. So the Daedalus Mark 1 is that flying suit that, I don't know, goes like 80 miles an hour or something like that. They're pretty dang cool. But anyway, he teamed up with a YouTube inventor and engineer, James Bruton, who I watch his channel. And basically they created a shoulder mounted select fire airsoft rifle that's controlled by the pilot's visor, which what is it, Apaches that already have that technology. So I mean that already exists in the military. But yeah, so now he's on a jetpack, and now he can have a firearm that's controlled by wherever the pilot, I guess is the word, looks. Jeremy, clearly you would never fit in a jetpack, but is this one step closer to Iron Man?
Oh no, because Iron Man is like a mini nuclear reactor that powers the whole suit and shoots like laser beams and stuff. Like,
True. I mean, this runs on jet fuel, not AAA. But do you think that someday the military is going to wear jetpacks and have visor controlled machine guns on their back?
I think that one day there will be like an exosuit, but it won't be for every individual.
There is no way they're putting some PFC schmuckatelli in a jetpack with a visor controlled. Nope, not happening.
That's gonna be. You need at least an 85 on the ASVAB, and then like a 1-year school on a 5-year contract plus. Otherwise, you're not touching the goddamn tank suit.
Yo, dude, the minute that sucker gets airborne, it's going over the gate out in the town. And it come back smelling like stripper sweat and desperation.
Landing at the closest strip club. Yep.
Yeah, you know the Navy pilots that drew a dick in the air?
Yeah. Hey, how many
They're
of those
officers?
How many of these jet suits would be traded in for a brand new Corvette at the front gate of the base?
Now you're talking.
At 29.9% APR.
It's a deal. He put in a full tank of gas.
Well, my payments are only $450 a month for 12 years.
Yeah, and I make $500 a month, so I should be good.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Okay, Tony. So you don't see him just rolling around in jet suits?
Oh, eventually it may be, because exosuits are definitely a thing. They're working on it. DARPA's been working on it for years. And like Jeremy, I think it'll be some kind of special forces thing, like Rangers, 10th Mountain, something like that. They would.
I think it'll eventually. They like your squad automatic weapon guy will get replaced with something like that. I could see that. It's a specialty billet that you have to train for. Much like, I mean, don't get me wrong. They give some 18-year-old on an ASVAB waiver and let him drive an M1A1 Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I was gonna say, how do you know? But never mind.
I was gonna say, not like I'm fitting in a tank.
Yeah,
that's true. I barely fit in a tank.
I fit in a tank.
Yeah, obviously, you sawed-off worm.
Yeah, in case you lock your keys in the tank, you can use Zane to pop the lock.
You're the guy we sent over the wall first on the Crucible.
True that.
Oh, hell.
Supreme Court of the United States allows lawsuit against Remington to proceed. So this is an interesting one. This has been making a big stir all over the place earlier this week. And so this is Soto versus Bushmaster. This is Parkland, I believe, right? Or no, I'm sorry.
No, Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. Yeah, that's right. Newtown.
Oh, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah, was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened 2 weeks after I opened the doors on my store.
Oh, I do remember that.
I sold a lot of ARs that month.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what the purpose of this lawsuit is. So Soto versus Bushmaster, they're basically saying that Bushmaster was trying to sell to at-risk individuals, and the whole thing's kind of crazy and should be covered by the PLCA, the Protection of Legal Commerce Act. And the anti-gun people are going bat crap crazy about this because they think it's the biggest win that they've ever got. But really, the Supreme Court their decision was not completely unexpected. They don't grant certiorari to many cases that get appealed all the way up there. And I don't really think that a whole lot of people expected them to take it. because now the plaintiffs actually have to go to court now that this has been rejected by the Supreme Court, and they're required to prove that Bushmaster's advertisements actually caused the Sandy Hook shooting. To be very, very clear, that's what they have to prove. And even Connecticut courts have admitted that is extremely unlikely. Tony Simon, start us off here.
Yeah, everybody was screaming about this. Oh, it's taken by the Commerce Act. It's against the Commerce Act. Not the way they did it. They said it was about advertising that caused this. Nothing that the Bushmaster did explicitly is how they advertise their product. They're going to get their butts kicked in court. I don't think this opened up the door people think it does. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So I may not know what I'm talking about, but I'm really hoping this doesn't mean what some of the people that are saying the sky's falling thinks it means. I hope they go to court and get their teeth kicked in.
Which I think they will. I say all the time that these cases, they don't ever expect to win, right? They don't ever expect to. All they're doing is trying to tie up the court systems. They're trying to take resources from the firearms companies. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Zane?
Yeah, so I think it is. One of the things I find funny is this is like the only firearms related case this new 2A friendly SCOTUS has taken. So that's interesting. The other thing is I do agree. I think they're going to lose, and I think they're going to lose bad.
Will now.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
Autoplay.
Autoplay, yeah. That's
I absolutely hope that they are held liable for all the attorney's fees, and I'm sure they have a shell corporation. They'll just declare bankruptcy if that happens. But I hope not. I hope not only do they lose, I hope they go bankrupt for the rest of their lives. And I don't care. I have no sympathy for them.
Yeah. Jeremy, any final thoughts on this story?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like they're trying to find a way. Like they're just clawing through the bushes, trying to find a way to sue gun manufacturers. And literally all they're going to do is create case law that says, okay, this avenue doesn't work either. Because they're just going to set a legal precedent that, okay, advertising's out too. Yeah, unless somebody's advertising says like, buy our gun and you can shoot up a school.
Yeah, I actually do agree. Now, Kenny said in the chat here that it falls within the purview of a specific Connecticut law. Looking through the article that is in the show notes and a few others, I actually didn't see that, but
I do remember reading that though when they first said they were petitioning it to the Supreme Court and requesting the writ or the cert or whatever Latin word it is. Yeah, I remember when they were requesting that there was something about there was a specific wording in Kansas law that would allow us to go. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're just trying to get around the PLCAA is what they're trying to do. And
well, I like how serious this is because none of us made a freedom group joke. At all.
No, it's serious when we're all like, yeah, freedom group, whatever. They're one of ours. I don't understand this next story. Airbnb proposes changes to aid in safety after recent incidents. So this one kind of is very interesting to me. Let me lay it down for you. A lot of people apparently go rent Airbnbs for house parties. And there was a house party. Someone rented it saying they were going to stay there, but instead threw a big, huge Halloween party and 5 people got shot at it. And now Airbnb is saying by 2020, they're going to verify every single host and its rental thing like this. What? Like, why? I don't understand how this is anything at all ever, or how they're even going to stop this. It's like they're going to put a bunch of junk in place that's going to affect people like us, because I constantly rent Airbnbs for 5+ people. And this is just I don't even understand why they feel the need that they need to do something besides the fact that they plan to go public at some point in the next 18 months. And I think I don't understand. Zane, why do they think they need to do something?
Oh, this wasn't you that threw the party at the Airbnb?
No, but I'm like, it's going to affect me.
I was going to say, this is definitely going to affect you. So it's a private company. If they want to verify their people like Uber does, they verify their drivers and whatnot. Cool. There'll be another company that pops up that'll compete with them and whatever.
Tony, can they even do anything? Like, what? How do you stop someone from renting a house and then just having a party instead?
They had 5 people shot at one of their houses. So they put out a press release talking about all the great things they're going to do to make you safe. Everybody goes, whew, they did something to make you safe. Meanwhile, they might add another question or something. Are you really sure you're not going to throw a party? Check yes or no.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
That's it. It's all theater, man. It's all theater. Especially, I didn't know they were going to go public. Yeah, that's to calm people down so they can start, buying stock or whatever the heck they do.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Jeremy, are we still going to stay at Airbnb?
I wish we'd stop.
I knew you were going to say that. We probably won't stay at any in Las Vegas anymore because after the Russian rape dungeon, I think we've played that one to its final conclusion. But Jeremy, I mean, do you think Airbnb is going to actually be able to stop this?
No, it's back to security theater.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, thank goodness you guys aren't using Airbnb. I remember the invitation Jeremy gave me in Georgia to come out to the plantation to hang out with you guys.
That place was awesome.
Yeah, well, it was dark when I was invited out to a plantation in Georgia.
To be fair, I had a lot of stuff that needed picked up around the house.
Jack.
Mexico's crime rate proves gun control is a failure. Duh. Like, I don't
know. That's not true because it's our lax gun laws, which is the reason that they have such a high crime rate.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Did you know in the first 9 months of 2019, Mexico had 25,890 murders, and that's 6 times as many murders per 100,000 people as the U.S. has. Mexico, 1971. I can't read the article because it's Wall Street Journal and they're pieces of crap.
Good save.
1971, they basically made it to where the government's the only one that can sell guns. The government has the only gun store in Mexico City. 1% of the population has permits to concealed carry, and it's impossible to get one. Even politicians cannot get one. And crime is through the roof.
Wow.
It's not like they live under the rule of the law. Just get a gun and carry it.
Well, yeah, and that's clearly what happens and what people actually do. And clearly people speculate that a lot of this has to do with the fact that everyday people cannot carry a firearm to protect themselves, and that's why crime is so rampant. Zane, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing is Mexico is not run. Don't let anybody fool you. Mexico is not run by any way, shape, or form by any sort of government. They are run by drug cartels. Like,
yeah, it's a narco state.
It's a narco state. Like, the government's there, and the cartels allow the government to do their little thing and to show face, but the cartels run Mexico. So the fact that it's rampant with violence should not really surprise anyone. But somehow, I was told it's our gun laws, which is why they're getting killed.
Well, one, they had the tallow Eric Holder special AK-47s that they were handing out left and right.
Okay.
But at 1% of the population carries concealed or has a concealed carry permit, they're still ahead of New Jersey. That tells you how ridiculous it is. Yeah, we know. I mean, John Lott wrote this article, I think, right? Is that the John Lott article, or was that someone else?
It is John Lott.
Okay. Yeah, it's well known, man. Dude, our politicians and our media are full of crap, and really, usually they don't even show you other countries or other perspectives because based on facts and what's happening around the world, it proves more guns equal less crime.
Well, I mean, look at the Mexican president even turned down the offer from Trump to mess up the cartels. Like, if you really wanted them gone and you wanted a functioning government back, all right, cartels think they're badass, that's fine, but I got a Tomahawk missile I'll shove up your ass.
Yeah, it's great that you have a technical. That's cute. That's a Toyota with that's a Toyota with a belt fed. I have a remote controlled airplane that's gonna blow you up, and my dudes who's doing it over at Fort Dix and just ordered Domino's.
Yeah. Well, it is crazy. It's ridiculous. But we saw recently El Chapo's son or whatever was being held by the federal government, and the cartels just started like causing a ruckus and raising hell. And
They should have shot him in the head.
yeah, I agree. And the president basically was like, you know what, we cannot have this. And they gave El Chapo's son back to the cartels. And that was the time when it should have been clear to anybody who hadn't already gotten there that it doesn't matter in Mexico. Mexico is a cartel state. The government is just a sham. And yeah, it's all very ridiculous. Next story. Getting away with murder in Chicago has better odds than flipping a coin. I actually thought this was kind of an interesting story. If you kill somebody, you have a better than 50% chance of getting away with it. Experts say the key is a lack of cooperation. There was a murder in March of 2019. He was killed outside a West Side fast food joint. Cell phone video shows there were numerous witnesses, and Green even told police the name of his killer before he died. No one's been charged because police say nobody will testify. So yeah, I mean, if you're in Chicago,
but that's not even big news. I mean, only 30% of all murders in the country get solved. It's not just Chicago. I mean, here's the fun thing. If you kill somebody randomly that you're not attached to in any way, there's no leads. As long as you didn't get busted on camera or somebody didn't see your license plate, like, you'll get away with it. Just keep your mouth shut. It's really not that hard to kill somebody and get away with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even like DNA and hair and stuff like that, it is not like CSI Miami. It is not used constantly to put people away. Zane?
Yeah. I nothing really to add. You can get away with murder if you want to, if you're careful. But the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are, but no,
it's not an opinion.
Yeah, well, it is a fact. But yeah, no, nobody sees anything, right? Like, you're gonna be next if you see something.
Well, and that's exactly the thing. Yeah. So, Tony, witnesses don't feel safe or protected, says a former Chicago police official. The Cook County state attorney relocates 50 to 100 families a year out of all those murders, and they want to do more, but they can't. Tony?
And that's exactly it. If you snitch, you're not going to be protected whatsoever. So what? You're going to tell? They're going to know who it is. It's not as if you're deep throat behind like some, yes, I saw the whole thing and it was, no, it's not how it goes, man. You're going to you're going to find out who you are and someone's going to kill you.
Or your family
or yeah. So, I mean, why would I testify? And my whole thing is they've only moved 50 to 100 families.
Yeah.
And
year.
Yeah, but in a year, but bruh, think about it. Okay, so I live here. All of my relatives are here. Everything I know is here. Now, because I witnessed a crime, I cannot go anywhere anymore. Go to Thanksgiving dinner, see my mom, see my family. Get out of your mind.
I got a new program. Machine guns for witnesses.
Not a bad program. And don't forget, that's 50 to 100 families and 561 homicides in Chicago and Cook County in 2018. So that's 50 to 100 families. So of all the witnesses for 561 homicides, 50 to 100. And that's a pretty broad spectrum there, like 50 to 100. Like, what was it, 50 or was it 100? Out of 561? Ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, of course, people are not going to come forward because they aren't safe. They protect them to go to trial, and then after that, they're like, best of luck to you. It's not like a witness program.
What do you do, dude? I'm just thinking about it now. I haven't thought too deeply into this, but as a witness protection program person, I'm a locksmith. That's my regular job. It's a pretty specific job with licensing and everything else, and I'm a firearms instructor. What do I do now at my age? What? Refrigeration repair? I mean, what's my new job in witness protection?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't. I mean, and on today's day and age with Facebook and social media of every kind, like, they're relocating them. They're not giving them new identities. They're just moving them to another place in probably Illinois or maybe even a surrounding state. So you're going to get on Facebook, you're going to post something silly, and boom.
If I lived in Illinois, I might testify just to get out of Illinois.
Not a bad plan, actually. Not a bad plan. APA survey says that Hispanics worry more about mass shootings than other groups. And, the most important thing here, So the survey found that mass shootings were a source of stress for 84% of Hispanic respondents, 79% of Black respondents, 77% of Asian, 71% of Native American, and 66% of white respondents. They did the survey right after 22 people were killed in a mass shooting that was allegedly motivated by anti-Hispanic sentiments. I don't know that this is even a story. Zane, what are your thoughts here? Like, do you think that's actually what Hispanics worry about most, or is it just the timing of this weird survey?
Yeah, I think this is just a flawed study.
Yeah. Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure anybody who eats Popeye's chicken is more worried about being banged up at a Popeye's chicken trying to order a sandwich than they were 6 months ago. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy?
I wasn't paying attention.
Canadian gun thieves target homes of funeral attendees. This comes to us from Bearing Arms, and this is one from the DAW files. Yeah, apparently, like they're like posting the address of the people who died, or people can just look it up really quick. And a couple was charged with 90 crimes for going around and just basically following this. They probably thought they had a pretty good system going, but now that they've been caught, police are urging people not to publish details about addresses and other things like that. Zane?
Yeah, so I don't think this is anything new. I think a lot of us have been saying this for kind of years. Like, if you have a sign out front of your house that says "We don't dial 911," or "Keep honking, I'm reloading" sticker on your car, and it gets broken into, I mean, yeah, don't advertise what you got. I think that it's now. Am I correct? In Canada is a little more restrictive than the U.S. in when it comes to owning firearms, or are they still pretty easy to get? They're just different classifications.
The second thing you said was
okay, because I know like they can have like short barrel rifles, but then they can't have like little concealable pistols. So I didn't know if there was any. But yeah, so don't post a bunch. I mean, everyone knows. Some of us. I mean, it's hard. It's weird for me saying don't go online and tell people you have guns, because I'm literally online telling people I have guns. But just don't make it easy.
Yeah, Tony?
Yeah, another thing, yes, doing this, putting the address and of course what time you're going to be at the funeral, but you put the address of the house. But you also have to protect yourself against relatives, because again, as a locksmith, that's when your dirtbag family members will come in and take that thing they always wanted from Uncle Earl, and now you guys come back from the funeral and it's gone. So always change the locks. Leave somebody you can trust at the house. Do not let other people in during the funeral. That's just basic security thing.
Yeah. Next story is going to be from Florida. I mean, it's not even Florida man, it's Florida woman. The Florida AG, Attorney General, wants to make CCW renewals include requalification. So she's an odd duck in the state. In state politics. She's the only Democrat left standing after the 2018 elections in the state, but she's holding the office responsible, or she's managing the office responsible for issuing concealed carry permits. Doesn't like
is
it.
Is this the AG or is this the Commissioner of Ag?
Commissioner of Ag.
Secretary of Ag.
Okay, Secretary of Ag. That's what I figured. Nikki Fried, right?
Yes.
Okay. She is not the Attorney General. She is the Commissioner of Agriculture. Just because I only bring that up because every time I've been on the show, I've said I don't understand why the Department of Agriculture is what we do concealed weapons license through, but it is. She's the same woman who's responsible for like regulating fuel pumps and stuff.
I literally saw AG and assumed Attorney General, but yes, Secretary of Agriculture. Yeah, I guess no one should really be surprised, but she wants to create requirements for training. And she says even that there's a lot of gun instructors who applaud her call for gun retraining and things like that.
Of course there are.
Yeah.
I mean, she wants to mandate. So what we have a training requirement in Florida, and it's very, very lax. Basically, you have to be certified by somebody as an instructor, including the NRA. You can literally be like an NRA metallic reloading instructor and teach your own concealed weapons class so long as you witness a safe discharge by explosive propellant. So there's a lot of dudes who have no idea what they're doing that are teaching classes. What she wants to do is make it every 5 years when you renew, you have to take another class. So of course, a lot of these instructors are like, hell yeah. I mean, that's drumming up. The government's going to drum up business for me. I think it's appalling because, again, our training requirement is so stupid. We shouldn't even have one anyways. Not that anyone should have one. But yeah, so she wants to reduce the length of our licenses that are good for. Currently, they're good for 7 years. She wants to make them only good for 5 years, which we fought for years to even get it to 7. And every single time you have to redo a training course. So this is basically just a barrier to entry for the funds to every 5 years go take a class. And I think you should take a class more than every 5 years, but I don't think the state should be mandating you do so.
That's the key right there. And I 100% agree. This is, in my opinion, a form of a Jim Crow law. Tony Simon, what do you think?
State mandated training is always horrible, regardless if it's about firearms or not. This is not about safety. This is about, again, poll tax. This is more Jim Crow bullcrap brought to you by the same exact party that brought you Jim Crow laws. They haven't changed a bit. And that's why we must fight this. And yeah, there are firearms instructors out there that their own worst enemy because, well, they're short-sighted, not understanding that once they start doing these requirements, they'll just change the requirement because it's a moneymaker. So all of a sudden now, to be a Florida registered firearms instructor, let's say they make that $2,000 a year you have to pay. I mean, all of a sudden, it's not such a cool idea anymore.
Yeah, totally. Jeremy, so Florida Secretary of Agriculture wants to mandate training often. And what are your thoughts on that? Should the state mandate training?
Obviously not. And somebody should vote that communist out of office.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's 4 firearms instructors on the show that completely disagree. And what did they call them in the article? What did they call them? Basically people who want rent-seeking behavior. So that means that anyone who proposes or backs legislation solely because it will help enrich them. So if you are a firearms instructor and you think the state should mandate it, slap yourself in the mouth and never ever teach another class. Because
don't slap yourself in the mouth, slap yourself in the balls. Don't reproduce. If you already have, drown them and go to hell.
I like it.
And to Jeremy's point about getting her out of office, I would like to remind people in Florida, she won by literally less than, I believe it was 2,000 votes.
Oh man.
I mean, it was like she won it. This was the only one that they literally had to recount for like 3 weeks because it was so close. It was by like a margin of like 0.001%. And not a lot of people voted in this election because we had a huge governor race and we had a huge U.S. Senate race going on at the same exact time. So nobody cared about Department of Agriculture. I'm trying to warn people, don't sleep on this. And they did.
Yeah. And that is what happened.
Which is weird because I didn't think anybody in Florida slept because of all the meth.
Nice.
It's true. It's true.
No, but I always hear it. My vote doesn't count. And I'm like, yes, your vote does count. Your vote counts during the election. And if you do mail-in ballots, that's when your vote will count. When they have to do a recount, they count those votes then. That's why it's important to vote.
Yeah. Zane, what's the population of Florida?
It's a lot. It's a lot more in the winter time. But,
yeah. Which makes a lot.
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's over 20 million.
We're one of the more highly populated states.
Yeah, it's over 20 million. And you said she won by 2,000 votes. So people, your vote matters.
It was in the
matters a whole lot.
Single-digit thousands, yes.
Wow. Virginia Beach Shooting Commission issues 3-page report with 0 recommendations. A months-long study of gun violence in Virginia ended Tuesday with a 3-page report that makes no recommendations whatsoever. It was performed by the State Crime Commission, and the report was called On Mass Killings and Gun Violence. There was hours of testimony, dozens of proposals, more than 4,000 written comments, and additional research. It was scheduled to be discussed at the commission's meeting Tuesday, but it was canceled by Republican leaders last week. So they spent all this time, all this brain power, all this energy, and especially all of this taxpayer money on this and came up with nothing. They said inconclusive evidence exists to develop recommendations, but the absence of recommendations should not be interpreted as finding that no changes are necessary. just that these are policy decisions which can only be made by the General Assembly. So it's not surprising to me that that's what this report found. That's what the Parkland reports basically found. The Secret Service report found that these can be prevented by actually following up and making sure that they take care of the things that are actually reported. But we see this over and over and over again, but this doesn't make any difference to the people who are pushing for all the gun control. And it's not going to make any difference because Virginia just turned blue and they're going to put in all of the gun control. The governor has already said that he's going to introduce a bunch of it. Zane, are you surprised?
He did.
Oh, he did. Jeremy,
it's just some democracy BS.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the Virginia thing? I mean, are you surprised that the report said nothing?
No, I'm not. I hate the mentality of we have to do something. We have to do something. It's like if one person gets eaten by a crocodile every year, all right, that sucks. And, somebody got eaten by a crocodile, but it's not like we have to go slaughter all the crocodiles because it doesn't really seem like that big of a problem. Like pretty happenstance all around. And if you look at, actual gun murders that aren't associated with gang life or drugs, it's really not that big of a problem in America. Even when a mass shooting happens, I've looked straight at you before and been like, what? This won't even skew the numbers.
Tony?
All right. Being from Virginia, I'll go ahead and tell you. Back in the day, we had Doug Wilder who ran the state, and he was a Democrat back in 90 to 94. And he was one of the guys that passed that one gun a month law, one handgun a month law, and all that. This commission was nothing but politics, dude. That's why they have no friggin' suggestions, because it was just a political committee put together. So you telling me if it was actually, the four of us could have looked at this mass shooting and come to some conclusions after months of study that would say how to prevent it or how things could have been done differently. But somehow this group of politicians were put together and they got nothing. And what does the governor glean from this? We need more laws.
Yeah, just ridiculous. Next, and our final story here is HuffPo claims that Facebook is making millions off of ads for concealed weapons permits in Virginia that may be illegal. Because I had 3 other firearms instructors on the show, I thought this would be an interesting one to end on. So there is a company called Concealed Online, and you've probably seen these ads all over Facebook. They basically, they promise that you take their online class and you can start carrying legally today. But what it really is they give you a certificate of completion, and then you have to actually file with Virginia to get your concealed carry permit. And that gives you reciprocity with several other states, but there's a ton of states that it doesn't give you reciprocity with. And it is absolutely 100% a scam, and they are being intellectually dishonest, if not actually dishonest. And they're spending millions of dollars in advertising with Facebook, and clearly Facebook is taking that money. And I don't know. I thought this was an interesting one to talk about. Jeremy, I'm going to start with you. Have you seen these ads?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I actually see them pretty dang often. And
I have ad blocker on all my computers, so.
Yeah, but I mean, we know that there's reciprocity, and you can go to certain states and just get the online certificate and then get the reciprocity. What do you think of Facebook taking money from them?
It's fucked up because I can't boost anything on my own store page. I've tried to advertise just hoodies. Hey, we got hoodies in for the cold weather. And I tried to boost the post just to see, no guns, no ammo, suppressors, nope, couldn't boost it. I cannot boost any post. And they can have well, how much money do you got to give before they're like, we're okay with guns?
Yeah. Tony, what about you? I think that Facebook should be taking money from all the different advertisers, but this is clearly a scam. Tony, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a scam. I mean, it has nothing to do with guns. It has to do with your Facebook followers, users, whatever you call them, are being ripped off and you're allowing it. And then to throw the hypocrisy on top of it, that if I tried to boost or advertise one of my classes, they wouldn't do it and say I was not under community, I didn't follow community standards. So yeah, it's hypocrisy and it's just bad business in my opinion.
Zane, I want you to weigh in here.
Yeah, that's my internet's
If you
kind of running
can.
slow. If I'm lagging, am I lagging a little bit? Nothing.
Okay. I think
Only in life.
Well, there's that. No, so I looked into this actually because I had a bunch of people asking me about it, and basically, yeah, like what you said, it is a scam. And the thing you have to look out for is this gives you, after you do this, you can apply for that non-residence license or whatever. Most of the states that have reciprocity with Virginia only have reciprocity if you're a resident and have the license. Like Florida and Virginia have reciprocity. But if you don't live in Virginia, your Virginia license is no good in Florida. So, and that's another thing they certainly do not tell you.
Yeah, so our good friend Ryan Kleckner runs a website called Rocket CCW that basically talks about this kind of same stuff and tells you how to get permits in the most states possible. But he's honest about everything. He says you take this training and this is exactly what you need to do to get your concealed carry permit and to get that reciprocity. So he is very upfront and very open about how the entire thing works, and that's what makes his service better. And that's why this one is a scam, because it doesn't tell you any of that. It makes you think that once you get that certificate that you take from the stupid online class, that everything's fine and good to go. And it's absolutely not. So if you are interested in this kind of thing, check out Rocket CCW.
I'm trying to think. With my Ohio CCW, I don't think there's another one that I can get that would actually add anything. I'm already reciprocity with like 38 states.
Yeah.
And the ones, yeah, I mean, the only ones are the ones that don't have reciprocity with anybody. Illinois, California, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Washington, Oregon, all the little communist northeast states and the West Coast and then that little shithole that's ran by Chicago mobsters.
That's fair. I like it.
Fair.
That's going to do it for the stories tonight. But before we leave, I always want to give you guys a chance to talk about what you're doing and where people can find you online, Zane, before your internet just completely goes away.
Yeah, it's not the internet hates me tonight. Then I've been super busy, haven't had a really large online presence lately between school and work, but I can be found on usually the Gun and Gear Review podcast, not lately though. And you can find me on all the other things at Contextual Defense and Consulting.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Zane. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Tony Simon, how about you?
You can find me on Gun and Gear Review podcast that we're going to actually be recording tomorrow night, so you can come and check us out live then, but usually recorded on Tuesday only because Zane can't be on the show, so we enjoy that. You can also find me at diversityshoot.com, which our next Diversity Shoot will be December 5th. Tickets are online right now. You can also buy one of my shirts at 1022clothing.us because we're like 5'11", but twice as big because we get up to 6X. But you can also pick up those same shirts on diversityshoot.com. You can donate to us on GoFundMe. Diversity Shoot, Second is for Everyone, is on GoFundMe. And you can check me out on Facebook at The Second is for Everyone. And, of course, be a Patreon of 2A4E Podcast.
Thanks,
I was
Tony.
going to say one of your shirts could fit like 6 people.
Ha ha! One of you giant sloth monkey.
Motherfucker, I could tie one of your shirts off over my goddamn feet. I look like CP and fucking Popeye.
You can't tie anything. That's why you wear boots. You can't even tie your shoe. Shut up.
Oh, just because I'm smarter than you. Wait, can you tie your shoes?
Yes. I mean, I can't see them, but I can tie them. No, shut up.
Jeremy, what have you been up to? Where can people find you?
Don't fucking find me. I'll shoot you. You come looking for me, I'll punch you right in the mouth. Do not do it. It is the smartest thing. I already pulled the gun on somebody in my driveway once today. Turns out he was just delivering Amazon.
Get you and
Dude, it was the greatest. I was coming back from NRA, and I'm like 3 hours from Jeremy's house. Hey, Jeremy, I'm gonna come by and slap you in the face. You bring your ass back. I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
So my timestamps for this episode are like all over the place. It's like 2909 times 1, 4155 times 2. And then at 1 minute, 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 3 seconds, I just put the infinity symbol. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks to all you guys for being here. Do you guys have like some kind of weird Marine chant that you want to do or anything like that? You good to go?
That's gay.
Should you guys all say ooh-ah or something? I don't know.
Nah, that's not happening. No.
Okay.
You gonna sing the Marine hymn?
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
No, not happening.
No. Hey, happy birthday to all you Marines out there, man.
I love it, man. All right, guys, check it out on firearmsradio.tv, all the great shows that are out there, including We Like Shooting and the Gun and Gear Review podcast. And you know what? This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and Ben Allreed and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. Kenny, I am so sorry for what has happened to you tonight, and I'll catch all of you next week.
I totally forgot about the no swearing thing. Like,
I told you right before the show.
I know, I forgot.
It was like 2 minutes.
It happened. I forget sometimes.
Oh, dude, that was the funniest show ever.